Hi, love. Hello, and welcome to Co-Creative Healing Journey. My name is Greta. I am a healer posting spiritual content here on the channel intended to serve you in your journey of spiritual growth and evolution. And today we are asking Spirit, what do you have for us? What do you want to share with us? Where do you want to take us today, Spirit? Please. I got two cards. I'm going to take the top one. And we have got achievement. Nice. I love this card. This card represents Lord Ganesha with his two wives, whose names I forget. But one is wisdom and the other one is prosperity. And overall, this is a card that talks about how achievement in life, prosperity in life, is through not necessarily the balance, it's much more the complementarity of wisdom and success. You can't have success without wisdom, and you can't have wisdom without success. That's the message that's coming through here, or at least what the Spirit wants to talk about, but in a very specific way. So let's couch it. I feel like there's a context to this because it came out very like proverbial, like a proverb. So let's look and see. We've got sacral chakra, which says the frequency of sacral chakra, the orange flower of life, supports our ability to flow with our desires and stimulates our creative power to manifest success and abundance in our lives. Okay, so we are manifesting success and abundance. And then we've got transition. And transition says the frequency of transition supports our deep understanding of the ever-changing nature of existence in our lives so that we can learn to let go, surrender to the process, and allow transition to occur with ease and grace. Beautiful. Okay. Sacral chakra is talking about a desire. It's talking about a desire for change, for transformation. And then transition is talking about how to get there. Okay. So this is what Spirit wants to talk to us about. Spirit wants to talk to us about how we create successful, long-lasting change in our lives, because there's this aspect here of using our creative power to manifest success and abundance in our lives. And Spirit is saying, absolutely do that. But there's an element that's saying, do it with wisdom. And here, that's what the transition is talking about. So actually, speaking of wisdom, let me lift this a little bit. There's something about how sometimes we can be reckless in pursuing success. Well, we do that as a species, right? We mine without thinking about the structural integrity of the earth. We use up resources without putting them back, or like putting back what we need, what we're going to need for next year, those kinds of things. So there's that aspect at a collective level. But Spirit wants to talk to us about it at an individual level also, and especially as spiritual seekers, as people who are trying to evolve in these times. Okay, everything's upside down. We've got an Eight of Pentacles. We've got Major Arcana number 1, the Magician. We have got the Five of Pentacles. And we've got the Ace of Cups. Okay, yes. Okay, so we're going to start by talking about kind of fundamental aspects of manifestation and how to bring things into manifestation. So the Eight of Pentacles is talking about someone here being represented who is putting up lights, bringing illumination into their lives. And Spirit is saying it's completely healthy to have an approach of continually improving your life, of continually trying to bring more light, more prosperity, more into your life. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And in Pentacles, we are talking about the material realm. We are talking about the earthly realm. I'm getting energies of bringing in more comfort, more beauty also. I'm like someone who, redecorates their house every 2 years. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's, for the purposes of, again, bringing more light and more comfort and more well-being. Then we have the Magician, and the Magician talks about how all creativity and all creative acts are really from the self, and being aware, like using tools, working tools, and then calling on Spirit. And this is so interesting because it's a different kind of magician, and I'm going back to the original kind of magician, working the different elements, but we got this depiction for a reason. And so, how the magician is pointing to heaven, it's talking about how there's a limit to what we can create ourselves, and without bringing the universe into it. Even if you have to, eat, for example, create a meal, there's interdependence. You didn't pick the food likely. You wouldn't have picked all of the food. You wouldn't have created your cookware. There's an interdependence where we rely on one another to create and to manifest. And here there's also the aspect of interdependence with spirit, and because she's pointing at the moon, there's something about the times that we're living in. There's something about the rhythms, the flows of finding the right alignment with universal energy transition, going into things at the right time and in the right way. With the Five of Pentacles, there's scarcity, and this is talking about the difficult times that we're in. And Five of Pentacles for me is not an energy of lack is like Five of Cups, where it's lack mentality or lack perception. Scarcity is real. Some people on this planet don't have enough food. They don't have access to water. They don't have their fundamental rights respected, and so on and so forth. That's scarcity. That's realized. That's real. And so this is speaking to that we are in difficult times right now, but nevertheless, the abundance of spirit is still flowing. The abundance of spirit is still coming into our lives to help us bring more light into it. And it's going to be different for everybody. I was tapping into someone who's redecorating their house, which is not something necessary. But for some of us, it's going to be how to bring food, put food on the table, how to provide for ourselves, how to provide for our children, how to set up for the future, those kinds of things. It's going to be also fundamental things. And what Spirit is saying in this reading is just because it's hard times doesn't mean that we have to give up on bringing more prosperity into our lives, that we have to give up on achieving this. We just have to be wise about it. And it's about the approach. It's about the movement into that transition. We've got Four of Wands upside down again. There we go. That's just me. It's not the energy. It's just me. We've got Major Arcana number 13. Death card. We've got the Two of Cups. And we've got the Queen of Wands. Okay. The Four of Wands is precisely what we're talking about. It's a reality of peace, of abundance, contentment. It is a reality of harvest also. A celebration of harvest. All is well. That's the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is also a card of home. So there's this, what the message is coming in. It's talking about having a reality where you're permanently like this. You're permanently living like this. You're permanently in peace, abundance, contentment, and having all good things. And that is what it is intended for us. But with the Death card, it's a matter of process. And you're going to know where you are in your life. But wherever you are, there's always more abundance that you can transition into. And so that you can be in a reality right now where you're the butterfly and you want to fly, or you're in a reality where you're in the caterpillar state and you want to have the transformation. But either way, what the Spirit is saying is that you're going to be where you need to be in relation to bringing that in. So what I'm getting is basically the notion would be that everybody watching is at a different level of this transition. Some people are really, really close to that harvest. Some people are halfway there, and some people are just starting. But wherever you are, it's not about arriving here. It's about the way of life. It's about continually being moving towards creating success and more abundance. It's about continually using our creative powers to do that, because that's what they're for. Our creativity, our creative energy is naturally abundant, naturally progressive also. So seeking progress and improving, all naturally healing. So always healing, seeking to heal, to improve, to resolve issues and circumstances in our lives. We could be the richest person on the planet, but our creative energy would still be bringing us more, right? And that's why a lot of people who, for example, have a lot of money then turn towards experiences, and then they enjoy sunsets and different things, right? Or yachts. but the point being, again, that's the expression of it. But what we're speaking to here is to go into that same dynamic and express something different. With the Two of Cups, it's talking about being loved, receiving the love of spirit. This loving flow of Spirit's abundance still wants to flow, even if we are in difficult times. And it's about us being receptive to that, being in a state and a place where we are open, we are willing, we are trusting, and we are surrendered to the process of moving towards greater abundance. And with the Queen of Wands, Spirit is saying, yes, it does take courage. It does take courage in these times. And it takes especially a lot of courage and personal power if we set it up in our minds to be something reckless. It doesn't need to be that. We can be very, very wise about it. But if we believe that to prosper in these difficult times we have to risk everything, then of course we are going to need more courage to follow through. But that's not the way that Spirit wants to show us at all, and that's not the way of Lord Ganesha either. So let's look. Bring it home, Spirit. Okay, one more time. It is hard to change habits. That could be part of the reading. We do have a Ten of Swords here. We have Three of Wands. Yeah. We have the Seven of Cups. And we have the King of Wands. Right beneath the Queen of Wands. So what Spirit wants to speak to in this reading is not necessarily give us a roadmap of how we're going to do that. In this reading, Spirit wants to talk about Ten of Swords, laying the old belief system to rest. It's really at the core a belief system that whatever happens to the collective needs to happen to me, and that doesn't need to be true. There can be a time, and this is something that's been going around on social media, which is this videos where they talk about how in times of economic recession is also the times when most billionaires are created, right? So it's the notion precisely to that for some people the Ten of Swords can be a time, you see all of these butterflies, it can be a time of wonder, it can be a time of transformation, it can be a time of great growth and prosperity. But for that to be the case, it does require the energy of the Three of Wands, which is, see how he's looking ahead, looking to the future with optimism, with openness, not being closed even to the possibility. If you don't believe that something is possible, you're not going to be achieving it. And that's really what Spirit is speaking to in this reading. And with the Seven of Cups, you see how she's looking at this apple, but it takes wisdom. This is not something to do blindly, to look at the apples. Is that ripe? Is that growing right? Is this the right thing? Is this the right way? And she has a basket here where she's collected things. So there's the ability for you to here to harvest and to collect, but it does require discernment. It requires presence. It requires wisdom and the application of wisdom. And if you can do that in these times, oh my God, we have King of Wands. You become a King of Wands. This is about mastering the energy. Whatever the collective energy is, whatever the energy of the situation is, you can master it and create something that is right for you. And that's the energy of the King of Wands. We lead life, right? Life is here, but it's not a passive experience. We have to lead it. We have to take it where we want it to go. And that's what the King of Wands represents. Tell us more, please, Spirit. This is a very powerful message, very empowering, or it's intended to be, because Spirit really is speaking to this perspective and how it is a perspective to have for its own sake, because it's empowering. We've got virtue upside down, exactly. And in this deck, when the cards are upside down, for me, that means the energy is self. So it's about the self, and then if it's right side up, it's about people, places, things in the world. And this one says, you acknowledge your loving spiritual attributes that encourage others to grow. So again, not so much to focus on others, but acknowledging our spiritual attributes. We have expression. You are ready to manifest your thoughts and transform them into acts of love. I love that. And then we've got self-love. You realize that love of self is necessary to love another. Okay, so with the virtue, Spirit is saying, we are spiritual beings. We are creative beings, and we have this creative power and this creative energy. And this creative power and creative energy is not going to go away because we are in our earthly reality. There's a recession, and there's constriction, and there's cost of living crisis, and inflation, and war, and so on and so forth. That creative power doesn't go away. It's still there. It's still expressing itself. the question is, do we express it in creating abundance, right? Do we maintain the direction and keep heading towards more abundance, more for us? Or do we allow this energy to kind of stagnate and maybe even to start feeding the recession and the inflation and so on and so forth? Because, for example, one of these things that makes spiritual crisis worse is that, or sorry, economic crisis worse, is the behavior that people choose to have. So, for example, um, there is an economic recession, so people consume less. They keep more of their money because they're afraid of how the future is going to be. Less money goes into the economy, less money goes to the businesses, everything constricts even more, and so on and so forth. So it's a time when we really should be spending a lot of money, or not a lot of money, but we should at least maintain our consumption at a collective level. But of course, understandably, we don't do that. But Spirit is saying that's precisely something that feeds into that dynamic rather than feeding into our creative powers, because our spending and allowing money to flow from us is one aspect. Let's be clear, one aspect of abundance. And so it's a matter of self-love, and it's a matter of seeking our own interests, our interests as spiritual beings, our interests as creators, but also our human interests, right? We do need to have to be wise with our money. We do need to be to have savings and so on and so forth. So it's about pursuing the spiritual path, but at the same time not foregoing our human needs and our human security, which is also very important and part of self-love. I feel like it's even saying self-care more than specifically self-love. There's no need to put ourselves in a difficult position to be spiritual, right? That's not what it's about. But at the same time, there's no need to put our spirit in a constricted space to be practical. That's not what it's about either. Yeah, achievement of both. And that's what Spirit is saying. Both are possible. And by the way, both are preferable because you are both. It's about staying true to you and your energy and how it wants to flow and how it naturally does flow, no matter what the circumstances in the world are. We've got breathe. And we've got imagine upside down. Beautiful. In this deck, I'll show you the image because it's pretty cool. In this deck, when imagine is upside down, it talks about going into negative perspectives and also negative visualizations about the future. Now look at the coloring between the two. Spirit is just bringing it home so simply at the end. We can move through this with peace, with word that's coming in is dignity, with again wholeness, where we're holding on to all that we are. Or we can go into the negative imaginations and then feed a kind of negative spin. That's the choice. And the choice doesn't manifest in the same, in the actions necessarily, meaning that we can make the same actions from either place. We can focus on saving money because we're at rest, we want to be zen, and right now we just feel okay, that's the wise thing for me to do right now in the grand scheme of me pursuing my dreams, of creating and manifesting success for myself. Right now I need to be saving money. Or, oh, everything is going so wrong and it's going to get so bad and it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. That's how it's been for the last couple of years and that's how it's going to be. So I need to save that money right now. Same action, very different space. It comes from a very, very different space. And the space the Spirit wants you to choose is, again, I do say balance, and balance is part of it, but it's more complementarity. They feed into one another. They nurture one another. If you're in spiritual awareness that you want to create and manifest success for yourself, you're going to be even more grounded because that's what's needed to go about it. If you're being grounded, and then you're even going to feed into the spirituality of it because you know that it helps you to stay grounded, right? They feed into each other. They're not opposite at all. Not opposite at all. They're part of the same movement. And fundamentally, it's a chance to use these times, to work these times as a King of Wands, to work it for our benefit. I'm leading my life. So these are the circumstances, but I'm working them to so that they are of benefit to me and my life. And so to work these times to learn how to better integrate and live out both of these aspects. So the takeaway for this reading, we have got Talismans of Potency. And it says, sacred tools and objects can become an extension of your energy field, focusing your power and intention, helping you helping you heal the split between spirit and matter, bringing physical matter more deeply into light and life. You are encouraged to work with sacred materials in a conscious way to help your own healing and enjoyment of the material world as part of your spiritual practice. Exactly. Exactly. Nothing is separate from spirit. Everything is spirit. Um, Everything is spiritual reality, even if it's the material, even if it is money. And this is talking about working, not just money, but our earthly conditions, seeing them as sacred tools at this time for us to learn, to grow, and to evolve as spiritual beings embodied. So, love, that was the reading. Thank you so much for watching. I love doing these readings. I learned so much, and just so much comes through, and I really hope that it is of value to you. Let me know, drop me a line, and let me know how you receive this reading or not. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please subscribe because more will be coming. And if you're interested in me and my work, then check out the description box. I have laid it all out there, and I have just tons and tons and tons of processes that could help you. So, sending you lots of love, wishing you all the best. May you be blessed always and in always. Bye.